What's going on, people? Welcome to another edition of Baseball Talk on Rojas Media. We're doing something a little different today. A couple weeks into the Major League Baseball season. Again, happy to have baseball back. We're doing something a little different today. I haven't done fantasy baseball since I was about 13 years old when I still had baseball cards laid out on my bedroom or on my bed. I don't have those anymore. My mom threw them to Goodwill. I never said she could do that, but apparently she thought she could do that. But regardless, I'm doing fantasy baseball this year. So we're gonna bring on a fantasy baseball writer, Mr. Frank Ammirante. He is a writer for the Roto Baller and the Game Day NFL and MLB. So he's not just a baseball writer; he's a football writer as well. But today we're just talking about baseball. So, Frank, how's it going?
How's it going? Great to be on the show, back in the thick of things in MLB season. It's great to
Absolutely.
have games on every day. Just a beautiful time of year.
Absolutely. Like let's get started there because this is like, last year we only had the shortened season. This year we got a full slate of 162. What is it like for a fantasy expert, a fantasy writer? What is it like preparing for the grind of 162 games? What is it like a week or two right before the season starts? What is that like? What's the stress like on your shoulders?
Well, the one challenge you have when it's so early in the season and it's only been 2 weeks in is trying to not overreact to the small sample, but at the same time, you don't want to ignore certain breakouts. Like you have some players are really showing improvements at the plate. So if you don't act quick enough on players like that, you might miss out on a breakout. But at the same time, you're not going to drop, let's say, a veteran who just looks awful at the plate or who's struggling on the mound because they have a track record and it's a small sample. But it's just that's really the challenge. Since it's such a long season, you don't want to overreact to the small sample, but you also need to be mindful, like, hey, some of these guys are really showing improvements, like let's say Byron Buxton, for example, the Twins. So that's the real challenge about it, for sure. And also it just I do some DFS, so daily fantasy content, and it's tough to deal with. Let's say today, you just got to be on the ball with it because I was using Zach Eflin today. I went to the, looked away from my phone. It was probably like 10 minutes before game time, and it's postponed. And I didn't check till the lineup's locked, and it was brutal
Hey,
today.
I'm in Philly, man. I was waiting for the game to come on. I'm sitting here. I'm waiting for the Phillies and Mets to come on. And hey, we didn't have to face DeGrom today, so I'm okay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm
So
good.
at least there's that, and but I actually thought they were gonna, like I bet on the Phillies today. I thought it was good value because avoiding the 4-game sweep. It's tough to sweep a team, especially a division rival, in a 4-game series. So anytime you get 2-1 on that, I figured it was worth a look. Plus, I really like Zach Eflin, but that's besides the point. The point is that uh, basically what you should take away is early in the season, not overreact to the small sample. And if you're setting DFS lineups, make sure you pay attention to the weather and don't make the same mistake I did today.
Yeah. Actually, let's start there. Actually, because I'm a Phillies fan. Love the Phillies, and Zach Eflin's kind of. You say you like Zach Eflin. I'm not low on Zach Eflin. I think he has good stuff. I think he has very good potential. I don't think he's shown consistency in the past. But tell me because I have a lot of people who follow my channel and know that I talk Phillies and I've talked about Eflin in the past, and I've voiced my concerns with him. Not that I think he's a bad pitcher, but I just think he needs to show me that he can do it over 30 starts. Now, tell me why you like Zach Eflin.
So Zach Eflin, one thing you always like is when a pitcher shows good control and he shows the ability to rack up strikeouts. And last year, he put up a walk rate of 6.1% and a K rate of 28.6%. So that always catches my eye, the ability to command your pitches, but also get some strikeouts. Also, he down the stretch, he showed some real like his last two starts, I'm looking here, he went seven shutout innings, striking out nine, and then he went 8 innings and he allowed 3 earned runs with 9 Ks. And I believe towards the end, he changed his pitch mix. So he started using his pitches differently. And it was just in line with those last couple starts. And often with fantasy baseball, you should also defer to other experts what they're thinking, because you have all this information out there. You want to really go along with what they say too. And a lot of people really like Zach Eflin for what I mentioned, like the control, the ability to get strikeouts, his strong finish. He's still young. So this is a guy who I think is really going to break out this year.
Okay. And I love to hear that. Look, the Phillies need him to be a good number three. Just in general, I'm not even talking fantasy. They need him to be a good number three for them to compete in a loaded NL East division. But a few other pitchers I want to talk about. A few that haven't had the best starts. One notably being Stephen Strasburg. Him coming off I think it was carpal tunnel last year. Now he's had a history of injuries. When he's healthy, he's really good. We've seen it. He's been World Series MVP. He's had really good seasons. He has really good stuff. Are you concerned with Stephen Strasburg going forward? Should people drop him immediately and say, "Hey, we're already seeing the velocity's down. He's not pitching well." Should people be concerned about Stephen Strasburg going forward?
Well, coming into the year, just getting off of the carpal tunnel injury, we didn't know how he was going to respond. So I was already out on him coming into the draft. But if you did draft him, I would definitely say to be patient, even though he just got rocked for 7 runs against the Cardinals. Because, hey, in his debut start, he pitched a one-hitter in 6 innings with 8 strikeouts. So, I mean, this is a veteran with a track record. I know he's injury prone, but he's not a guy I'm looking to drop. And I also wouldn't be looking to trade him because it's just he's at a low value now coming off a poor outing. So the best bet for you if you roster Steven Strasburg is just to be patient with him. And if you don't roster him, I wouldn't suggest trying to buy low yet. I just steer clear. It's just, I'm not too concerned. I mean, this is a veteran with a track record, and if he's out there pitching, that tells me he's healthy. He probably just has to get into the swing of things. And I know the velocity's down, but it's early in the year, so I'd be patient with him.
Okay. Newly acquired New York Yankee this year, Corey Kluber. He has not been very good in his first couple of starts this year. Are you concerned, or are you saying, "Hey, let's be patient on this guy as well"? Well, what are your thoughts on Corey Kluber?
So this is a good one because I actually have Corey Kluber in one of my big home leagues. So this really hits close to home here. So basically, I'm not worried at all about Kluber because throughout his career, he's always started slow every single year, pretty much. If we look, let's say at his last, so in 2020, he barely pitched. 2019, he also barely pitched, but so that's obviously a concern. But if we look, 2019, he had an ERA of 6.75 in April. Traditionally, throughout his career, Corey Kluber has always gotten off to slow starts. Like if we go back 2017, he struggled. 4.19 ERA in April. He got rocked in his only May start. He just gets better as the season goes along, and I would not be dropping him yet because this is a guy who, coming into this year, he had pitched 36 innings combined in the last 2 seasons, in 2020 and 2019. The last time we saw him in a fully healthy year, he went 250 innings, struck out 222 batters. So I don't think he's done by any means. I think he's just you got to give him time to get back in the swing of things after such a long layoff. And the fact that he already traditionally struggles early in the year makes me patient with him. I would say you should probably keep him on your bench for now just because of these struggles.
He just played against
Yeah,
I see your hat. He just played against he played against Toronto. recently.
Yeah, so that's a thing too. He's played against Toronto twice already this year. That's a tough lineup.
Yeah.
Once he starts facing those weaker lineups and it's more deeper into the year, he's getting into the routine. I think he'll start probably not obviously the Corey Kluber of old, but he'll be a veteran with a track record who could fill out your rotation nicely. He's a nice guy. I'm looking here. He faces the Braves next, which is another tough
That's a
start,
tough one.
especially
That's a
at
toughie.
Yankee Stadium. They have a lot of power. I'd say leave him on your bench for that one, but don't drop him yet.
Yeah.
Depends on your league though, because
Acuna's
if
going to use those short porches against Kluber. He might hit a few out the way he's swinging right now.
yeah, for sure, for sure. If you're in a head-to-head league and let's say you already had someone get rocked, though, I would still throw him out there because your ERA is already kind of shot. You can maybe come back in strikeouts, maybe get a win. But if you're in a roto league, I would bench him against the Braves for sure.
Okay.
But sum it up, I'm not too concerned about him yet.
Okay. Um, one more to ask you about another pitcher. Uh, Jack Flaherty. Uh, supposedly the ace of the Cardinals staff. I'm not gonna say supposedly he is. He's had his 4.11 ERA right now. Just 15 innings against start of the season. Everyone knows let's not the overreactions happen. But the velocity on his fastball is kind of down right now. It's around 93 miles per hour. That's down. I think that's down a few. From seasons past. This is a guy to be concerned about. This is a guy that's pitched really well in the past couple of years. Is Jack Flaherty somebody to be concerned about?
So out of the three we've talked about, he'd be the one I'm least concerned about
Okay.
because he doesn't really have any injury concerns like Strasburg. He's not coming off a long layoff like Kluber. He's still a 25-year-old pitcher, and his numbers right now are down. They look ugly just because of that opening day start where he gave up 6 runs in 4 1/3. If we look at his last 2 starts, he's gone 11 innings combined, allowing only 4 hits, 1 run. He's walked 4 and struck out 12. This is a guy, though, that I would say I wouldn't consider him a fantasy ace on your team, like some might have thought of him as. I think of him more as a solid number 2, an SP2 on your team. This is a guy who will have a solid strikeout rate, but he's not quite a legit ace, a legit fantasy ace. So if you can maybe trade him for someone who values Flaherty as an ace, like let's say you could trade him trade him for Corbin Burns. You probably can't because of how good Burns has looked, but coming into the season, Flaherty had a higher ADP, higher average draft position than Burns. So maybe if you can get someone like Burns, then I would do it. I'd even add a little bit, like a small piece to that trade to try to get Burns. Or even Tyler Glasnow, another guy Flaherty went ahead of in drafts, who I prefer. I prefer Glasnow to Flaherty just because of his higher strikeout upside, and I think he has better stuff, especially he added a third pitch. But having said that, I'm not going to be selling low on Flaherty. I still look at him as a strong SP2 on your fantasy team.
Okay. So let's kind of transition from some pitchers. Let's talk about a couple of hot hitters to start the year. One most notably, rookie from the Detroit Tigers, Akiil Badoo. He's been killing it. He just hit another home run, I think last night or the night before. It might have been both. I don't know. But he's been absolutely obliterating the baseball. He's been clutch. He's just been all over the place, hitting the ball everywhere. Is Akiil Badoo someone to hold on to, or is he somebody to say, hey, just keep him until he drops off? Like, what are we doing with Akiil Badoo?
Well, this is a player who he was tearing it up in spring training, and he's carried that along into the season. He's only 22 years old. If you look at his StatCast page, he hits the ball hard. Like his max exit velocity is it says in the 75th percentile. If we look at his expected stats, like his expected batting average is good. He's barreling the baseball a lot. So he does hit it hard and he's hot right now. So I would ride the wave with him, but I would temper your expectations because this is a rookie. He's not really walking a lot. He's only posted a 3.4% walk rate. He's striking out at a decent clip, 27.6%. So I think this is just a hot streak, and his average is not going to really be too great. But he does have some power and speed, so I would definitely ride the wave. If you can uh, trade trade him for someone more proven, then I would try to do so. But otherwise, just ride the wave for now. He's probably gonna. The thing with him is, if you could trade him, let's say in an on-base percentage league for one of those uglier veterans like Adam Eden, let's say, who's leading off for the White Sox, I would do so because even though Badoo is hot, I don't know about this sustainability throughout the season. He should probably hit around 15 to 20 home runs, but the lack of plate discipline concerns me a bit. So just ride the wave for now.
Yeah, he's not in like the greatest lineup either. I mean, he's in the Detroit Tigers lineup. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Another one, red hot Cincinnati Reds. Tyler Naquin is right up there and leader with home runs this year. The Reds look really good. Again, it's early in the season. But Tyler Naquin has been raking. What are we doing with Tyler Naquin? We dropping, or are we saying, hey, he had the potential in the past and he's showing it? Like, what are we doing with Tyler Naquin?
The problem with Naquin is that his hot streak came when Jesse Winker was out of the lineup. He was sick, I believe, and they have an outfield logjam there in Cincinnati. They have Jesse Winker, who's got great plate discipline skills. They love him in the leadoff spot in that lineup. They got Nick Senzel, who's a former top prospect. He looks good. He has power and speed. They really like him. And of course, they have Nick Castellanos, who's probably their best overall hitter. Well, you got Eugenio Suarez, got great power, but Castellanos probably their best hitting outfielder, I would say. So it's tough for me to see him getting everyday playing time despite his red hot start to the season. I mean, if we look, I believe he was benched in a few games already since Winker and Senzo were all in the lineup. He's missed 2 out of the last 3 games. So this isn't a guy that I see that will be an everyday player. It's just an April hot streak, and I would be looking to cut him loose. I'd prefer Badoo over Naquin just because of more potential for playing time for Badoo. Then again, hey, Nick Senzel and Jesse Winker have had their injury issues in the past, so. But until then, I wouldn't really be too optimistic about Naquin's outlook.